Joining us from Capitol Hill to talk about issues is Representative Greg Landsman, Democrat from Ohio, a member of the Energy and Commerce Committee. Representative Landsman, thanks for giving us your time today.
Thank you.
At front and center is issues concerning the optimism you might have as far as passing some type of budget before a deadline comes up. Where does that stand to you currently?
Well, I wish I was more optimistic. I mean, we have to pass a budget, or we should be passing a budget. It's typically done in a bipartisan way, and I think that's what the American people want. That's what I hear back from folks, back at home. But at the moment, the House leadership on the Republican side, they've only put forward a few of the 12 appropriations bills, and it doesn't seem like they're making as much progress in the Senate as they should. So unfortunately, this is probably going to end up being a continuing resolution like we did last year, which is just inefficient. It's not a way to run government. You're funding things based on a budget from years ago. So it's just frustrating. I mean, most of us came here to work, so we want to work. And I will tell you that most members, Republican and Democratic members, want to work. We would prefer to be put in a room and put together a budget, but that's not the assignment from the top, and it's frustrating.
What are you hearing from Democratic leadership about what's acceptable as far as passing a budget?
Well, they want to be in the room. I mean, they want to make sure that they're part of the discussion, and ultimately that the budget reins in this president, but also restores some of the health care cuts. I mean, that's a big piece of what is expected, and I would hope that the majority appreciates that taking health care away from so many people is going to be enormously problematic for them and our communities, our hospitals, but also them politically, and so hopefully that's what we get.
When it comes to then health care overall on the Senate side, they'll hear from the Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy tomorrow. What do you think of his tenure so far?
It's been disappointing. It's anytime you take somebody who is new to something as serious as this. I mean, running Health and Human Services, and instead of leaning on the experts, relying on the professionals, he's getting rid of so many of them, and it's beginning to undermine public health. And government is, in to some extent, there to protect us against big risks like the outbreak of measles. And when you're, upending the CDC and our public health system, you're going to see, unfortunately, these outbreaks, and we're all going to turn to the professionals, and he's going to have gotten rid of, a lot of them.
In his own words this morning, there's an opinion piece by Secretary Kennedy, and one of the things he says is a point of matter, saying that when it comes to the future of the CDC, he wants to enhance scientific rigor. He said applying gold standard science to every recommendation, ensuring America leads the world in safe, effective vaccines and trusted guidance. That's what he wrote. What's your response to that?
Stop firing the people who do that well, and then stop undermining the vaccines. The measles vaccine, these vaccines that have kept us safe and healthy for as long as I've been alive, are now going to be, hard to find. It's not clear what's going to happen, but he seems to be heading in a direction where, he's going to be making the country sicker. And we've got two kids, 13 and 15, and I don't want them to have to, deal with something that we had eradicated decades ago.
Representative Landsman, your past includes being a public school teacher. I want to ask you about the recent shootings that we saw on the news, but ultimately, where is Congress as far as doing more when it comes to keeping schools safe from gun-related violence?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a combination. One, it's just awful. It's hard to spend much time thinking about it just because they're 8 and 10. This is like Uvalde in the sense that you had these young kids, elementary school kids, gunned down. It's hard for the mind to process. and your heart goes out to everyone involved. It doesn't have to be like this. We can end this nightmare, and it is a nightmare, but it does mean that, I think Democrats and Republicans have to get together and come up with a solution. And we did this in the 90s where we paired hiring, I think it was 100,000 new police officers with really smart gun safety reforms. And that's what we have to do again. We need more officers, but we also need to obviously tackle the mental health issues. We have to, get serious about big tech and what's happening online. But the access to guns has to be diminished. Like, it has to be harder for criminals and people who want to do terrible things. It has to be much harder for them to get guns, and we can do that. Congress can pass laws making it harder for criminals to get guns.
I suppose that in those efforts, there has to be some type of balancing act for preserving rights, as some would say. How do you achieve that balance?
Yeah, so, responsible gun owners keep their guns. I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment, and in my district and growing up, just about everyone I know or knew had guns, and most people I know now have guns. And, the key is, do you want to have, criminal background checks to make sure that, criminals or people who are going to cause harm don't get guns? These are red flag laws, and then banning those weapons, or at least making those weapons harder to get in certain places where you can create these, mass casualty events. I mean, these are all things that I think most Americans agree with. If you look at the polling, 70–80% of Americans want to get these guns away from criminals. And that does mean saying, look, we're going to do a criminal background check. We're going to do that across the board. We're going to close these loopholes. We're going to make it harder, if not impossible, for people to get these weapons online. And these weapons of war, you're not going to be able to find unless you're at a shooting range or something like that.
Representative Landsman, there is an effort on the Democratic side from Ro Khanna, on the Republican side from Thomas Massie, ultimately for a discharge petition on the Epstein files. Where are you on that?
I signed the discharge petition last night. I hope we get enough Republicans to sign the discharge petition too. It is it's the most comprehensive plan to date to get the transparency and the accountability that almost all Americans demand. And so hopefully the leader, the speaker, will just allow us to vote on this. I really don't understand why they're trying to protect these folks.
We saw the committee release files yesterday. What hasn't been released, or I guess what's left to tell as far as documents are concerned concerning Jeffrey Epstein?
On one hand, we don't know, right? Because they've kept this so secret. It's been such a secret. But it's the client list. It's the testimonies. In the witness statements. You got to do it in a way that protects the victims. But the victims have said they want their files. They would like these files, and they have not gotten it. I mean, I have followed this story for years, and the number of victims is staggering. What he and others did to these victims is beyond what at least my brain can comprehend. And there were clearly very wealthy, very plugged in, very powerful people involved, and all of them need to be held accountable.
Representative Landsman, your state undergoes a redistricting effort starting today. What does that mean for you?
I don't know yet, but hopefully, at least I would like to see constitutional maps that are done in a way that's based on voters and not what politicians want. I think that should happen everywhere. I hate partisan gerrymandering. I hate voter suppression. I think it is a huge part of why we're in this mess that we're in. Where power has been taken away from the average person, and you get a government that doesn't really work for most people. And so I hope to stay here long enough to pass the John Lewis voting rights bill that would end voter suppression and end partisan gerrymandering. We have to fix our democracy, but in terms of what happens to me, I don't know yet.
What's the worst case scenario then?
It's not clear, because in Southwest Ohio, They can't break up the city of Cincinnati. They could put me in with one of their members, but I won by 10 in a very gerrymandered seat, a purple seat, and so I don't think they want to do that, but we'll see. That would be called a dummy mander, or what's called a dummy mander, where they push the limits so far that they end up losing some seats. So hopefully they don't go in that direction.
Representative Landsman, before we let you go, you have a series of bills under the umbrella called Pledge to America. What's this effort about?
So I think, and I guess I'm a product of the 90s, right? But the Republicans, when they were out of power and in the wilderness, so to speak, they put together their contract for America, where they laid out how they were going to fix the things that they believed were broken. And so I thought it was really important for us to do the same, and I wasn't going to wait for others to do it. I laid out in these 10 bills how we're going to fix the economy, make the country affordable again, make sure that people are safe, really tackle public safety, tackle immigration reform, tackle the deficit and getting government working again. All of the things that are top of mind for most voters, I lay out in what I believe are the 10 bills that will fix this country and lead to what I call the Great American Comeback.
How much traction have you gotten support for those bills?
I've gotten a lot of traction. I mean, a lot of support back home for sure. I mean, and we did this on social, and the feedback has been, this is what we've been waiting for, something that we can hold on to, as opposed to just chasing Trump all day. This is something that we can believe in and work towards. And then up here on the Hill, I've gotten great feedback from leadership and my colleagues.
Representative Greg Landsman, Democrat from Ohio, member of the Energy and Commerce Committee. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Michelle.